Hey, what's going on, guys? Xbox All In channel, host Sega Forever here with the all new Wrecking Crew podcast. No, I haven't done one in a while. It's good to be back. Starting to get my schedule back to normal. Kind of want to start doing a lot more of these videos, namely because there's a lot of stuff going on with Xbox. Oh, hold on, guys. Hold on. All right, there we go. Sorry, I always gotta do that echo thing. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. It was a busy week for Xbox, and that's why we're doing the podcast. We're gonna go talk. We're gonna talk about it. I got he bought the world's most powerful gamer here. Go ahead, brother. Shout yourself out.
Hey, I'm back with a vengeance. I'm back, brother. I'm here to talk about what's going on in the community with Xbox,
Nice.
with Asha Sharma's new initiative, and why it makes sense, right? Not just pointing fingers as saying something like it may be nepotism or maybe
Yeah.
it's something like has to do with racism, because I truly I don't believe it's any of that.
Right.
And I'll explain why, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it's exciting to see the changes little by little and the announcements that we already gotten. Everything from Fan Fest to getting brand new console updates every 2 weeks. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
Which they've been lacking on console updates for, woo, I think, since the beginning launch of the Series X. So
Yeah.
it's good to see that there's focus on specific word console.
Nice.
Yes, Xbox is a brand, but console.
Hundred
Good to
percent.
hear, brother.
No, so as you can see by the title, new sheriff in town, and as Heba was alluding to, Asha Sharma. Um, when it was first announced that she was going to be the new head of Xbox, taking Phil's position, there's a lot of stuff being said. A lot of people are unsure, and she hit the ground running, bro. That's the best thing I can say.
Mhm.
And what I feel the best thing you can do in these kind of situations when there's doubt being cast, there's a lot of hate too. That's not changed for Xbox, man. Don't get it twisted, guys. If you guys are like me and Hebot, you guys been rocking out with this community for the longest time that we have. You understand where Xbox stands um, in the industry, especially when it comes to the gaming media and all the Sony ponies. So that's just the reality of it. So none of that's changed. But what has changed is you have a new face of Xbox, and she's been a hurricane, bro. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. I mean, like I said, she hit the ground running. She had said some stuff, she had tweeted some stuff, but she had her share of doubters. But after this week, I don't think people are gonna doubt
Oh,
her resolve anymore.
oh yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, big shout outs to Chaos Lounge, that
Yeah,
channel.
yeah,
He did a video and he clipped everybody from Reforge to Rich Review Tech.
yeah.
Who else he had on there? He had, what's his name? That dude from that's always talking about Xbox. Uh, that he's from over there from Germany he has like the derpy eyes with the glasses
Yeah,
with
yeah,
the haircut. I forget his fucking name.
yeah. He said,
He,
yeah, he's
he, he
Jersey.
clipped he clipped one of the old Xbox, workers that used to work at Xbox, talking about when he was talking. I think he did an interview with what's his face? I want to say Dustin Legary,
You're talking about that Belarus guy, right? Or that dude?
the one that was saying that they just put Asha there in that position so that they can set the sales and high seas. That they're gonna just dwindle away from the console, and they're gonna use her as a scapegoat or whatever. That dude, whatever his name is. He did again. He clipped everybody. So shout out to him. Go look at the video. It's a
Yeah, yeah,
good, funny video.
yeah.
Because I haven't been able to do something like that. That's exactly what I would do. Clip the fuck out of everybody. Angry Joe, everybody. He was clipping uh, people at kind of funny, saying a bunch of stupid shit, whatever.
Yeah,
Kids
yeah.
move. Everybody. He clipped everybody. I was talking about that, Dreamcast guy, of course, but that, he's a regular. Everybody knows he's a fucking clown.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't even take that man serious. The fact that he wear a Dreamcast hat and never talks about Sega tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? So, yeah. So they all said the same shit. She has no experience, and then Rich was talking. Oh, she just started her account playing games. Yeah, she said it. I just started because I want to learn because I'm interested. This is what I want to do, and I want to learn it so that I can, basically cater more and better to the console fan base. You know what I mean? And she's been talking left and right, left and right. And she did a lot of good things. Put down the price on Game Pass to try to appeal to more people or to be more fair due to the economy. She says the economy's expensive, and we know that the pricing can be a little bit harsh, but. And then she's talking about she's going to try to put tiers where you can get everything for a certain price or get whatever you want. Kind of like, you basically make your own tier and that's what you pay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, giving
Would you
giving
do-
the consumer the choice. Yeah,
Huh?
giving the consumer the choice.
Right. Which is the good thing because I think that will probably work even better in their favor because it'll keep people still subscribing. And it will bring in new people. They're like, oh, for real? I can pick what I want and the tier that I want. Oh, I'm going to do that. Bet. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So that's not a bad thing. Options is never a bad thing. But I keep telling people, and I keep bringing it up, that Peter Moore was probably the greatest CEO of all time in any company of video game, any. And Peter Moore had, and he would always carry that with him, the Medal of Honor that he had the generation of Xbox where they were the most successful, where they were the leading platform, where they were the ones who won that generation, where they were the ones that called the shots, where they were the ones that got everything and anything across the board and when it came to the playing field, when it came to games. Even though, Sony was still money hiding shit like DLCs and stuff like that because they wanted to stay competitive. But at the end of the day, they couldn't because they lost so much money. I think they lost like anywhere around around the ways of around 3 billion. I think it was that generation. They said that's why they said that when they started the PS4 generation, that if it would have failed in sales like the console, they would have gone bankrupt because they had so much loss during the PS3. You know what I mean? And you got the people always bring up, oh, but they catched up and they sold more than 360. I said, yeah, because they were selling the console pretty much at, welfare prices, Home Depot prices. When you go to a fucking Goodwill prices,
yeah,
because they had no choice. How many iterations of the PS3 they made? Like 5, I think it was.
yeah. Something.
Every time they made a new one, they had to take out shit. I mean, the one with the sliding top, that was the God of War edition, which was all red. That top was flimsy as hell. It was cheap. It felt cheap. And, that's what they did. That's how they were able to catch up. Because they were selling that shit for $189. That's when I finally traded in some old DVDs that I had and got enough money in FYE and I bought one. Because I never bought one. Like, straight up, flat out. Nah, fuck you. I ain't paying for no PlayStation product. Oh, especially a console. Shit was dookie. So I got that shit. And the core for the 360 was still $250.
Yeah.
The one that came with nothing. Because they had it like that. They were the leading platform. They were the ones in charge. Ain't nobody was leaving Xbox to go make games for PS3. The machine was horrible. The architecture, they weren't selling good. The volumes of games were not selling well. And I think they hit a little diamond on the rough when they got to like that E3 in June. They did that E3 where they showed The Last of Us for PS3 when they revealed it. And then it became like, that hit, which wasn't a hit in the beginning. It kind of started catching on more when they started putting other stuff in there, like the DLC where they made Ellie a fucking dyke with that little black girl. 17-year-old motherfuckers were celebrating that shit. That, yo, that says a lot about the PlayStation community. There's a lot of pedos up there, like, in my opinion. They get turned on by that shit. Like, what? Bugging. That's weirdo shit. I mean, they've done it with every game. In Horizon, she's gay. She kisses and makes out with a Chinese chick. They did that shit in fucking Last of Us 2 again. They did it in Last of Us with the character fucking the tranny, which is Abby. She's definitely a trans. It's implied in the whole game. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But anyway, if Peter Moore was someone, right, that had no gaming experience when he came from Reebok, but what he did is what I'm going to apply is the marketing aggressiveness that we did with sneakers to attract the youth with the console space, and that's what he did. He made the console cool. He made the console like, oh man, I want to get that because of this, because of that, with all the integrations that they put in from the Xbox Arcade Live Store to the achievements, to the ability to play games off the hard drive still. I mean your music's. I'm sorry. The online capabilities, that were like way better structured than they were during the OG Xbox. Which they, we all know they started with Dreamcast, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They just did a lot to appeal and make that console the cool console. And in my opinion, even the fact that they made the console a different color from the traditional sense, because they made it white with the green. When we always mainly used to always get consoles that were always like a black color, you know what I mean? Or like a grayish color with a PlayStation and the Super Nintendo. Like a light gray. Those are the only times when they were like a different color. But it was just all about it. The marketing was done right. He was aggressive. He got Metal Gear Solid. He got GTA on Xbox when everybody thought they would never come because they were synonymous with PlayStation. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The marketing was just top notch. It was incredible, and they did it the right way. And if you remember during that generation, whenever Sony tried to outpace them or outdo them in something, they would come back and do something else to take that shine away. You know what I mean? So all that helped. So and then the general owner of Take Two, he said it straight up in an interview. I think it was with CNBC when he talked about, I'm not here to worry about video games or playing them. I'm here to make sure that people go and buy our games. And to push them out where they get it, where they're attractive, and people want to go buy them. I don't have to play them to know, to do my job. It's another person. There's several people that were in the industry that came in that didn't know anything about video games. We could go far back as the OG Xbox, right? They had massive, massive, massive success. So trying to use that card. They don't know how to games. He's not a gamer. That don't mean shit because it's been proven that people got success. That doesn't mean anything. That is a dead argument right from the start.
Mm-hmm.
But it's good to see because I think it's like what you said when we had the conversation earlier. It's that Xbox has transitioned with a new focus on what they want to do, and people think that they're just doing it because they're trying to disrespect, I guess, what Phil Spencer built or what Sarah did with Phil, what she was there with him too. And that's not it at all. It's just what Xbox was, it became a brand, it became a name, right? When the reality is Xbox is a console, right? So when you do that and your primary consumers are console-based consumers, you got to understand that you can do whatever you want. It doesn't matter what it is, but you can't forget about that primary consumer that you have, because they're the ones that are always going to be there day in, day out, every generation. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so for that, reason, I think Phil was probably already realizing, I'm going to retire soon because I've been here 30 years, rightfully so. He has a right. And I think what was happening that when Phil was doing this or getting ready to do this, since he said He already had it planned a year in advance. I think he did an interview with Dustin Legary, I think it was, he had mentioned it, and he was kind of brushed it off, but he already was planning it from that time, according to what he said when he did the interview with him again. Phil was under the impression, okay, well, we're going to keep doing what we're doing with Sarah, and Sarah was going to take the mantle. But Sarah's way of doing things and her structure comes from the mobile space, mobile gaming. And the mobile gaming infrastructure, even though it's video games related, is very different than a console, right?
Yeah.
Even though they're in the same playing field. Mobile gaming can apply and could be um, done with basically anybody, right? With anybody, right? But remember that mobile gamers, you see like, middle-aged women with their kids and the doctor playing a game on a mobile game that costs maybe $1, right? And games on consoles are not $1 because they're AAA titles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So how can you compare the sales of mobile games when those games don't cost 90 million or 100 million or 200 million dollars to make? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. 100%.
That's why I used to hate when Phil said that. Oh, the mobile space is huge. Yeah, of course. Because everybody in the world has a phone. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they're hardcore gamers that are committed to buying games all the time and committed to always spend and support the industry, the developers in those games. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
when he used to say that, it used to bother me. Like, yo, Phil, for real? Come on, you're not stupid. Not stupid. Me personally, I feel like putting games on even on PC is a waste of time. And I know VG Fight School probably like, you're crazy. No, I'm not. Because you guys barely buy games. And when you do buy them, it has to be an exception. Like a Call of Duty maybe, or a GTA, for example. Yes, you'll buy game or something that's very reminiscent to like maybe Elder Scrolls or Oblivion. Because those are the type of games that PC gamers always buy and support, right? But even comparing those numbers, GTA 5 sold how many copies on consoles? Like 135 million, right?
Yeah. It's a lot.
How many copies they sold on PC? Maybe 12, 15, 20 million max. When on consoles, remember, and we're talking about two consoles because it's PlayStation and Xbox. 135 million. Do you really think Rockstar cares about the money they're going to get from PC? That's why they always put it on there afterwards. They don't have that sense of urgency, but they know they're going to make money in the console store. GTA 6 is going to sell more consoles. People may not believe it, but it's going to be only for the new consoles. So those people that are still stuck on Xbox One, Xbox 360, PS4, PS3 even perhaps, they're like, you know what? I want that new GTA. I'm going to go get a new console. You know what I mean? So just facts. That's not something we made. You look at the data, it's always been that way. Especially that they said it's not going to be a cross-gen game where you can't even play it on the Xbox One or PS4, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to move units. It's going to do it. And me personally, if Xbox was smart and honest, it could do a couple of things. For that Black Friday, for that holiday, drop that console to the cheapest it's ever been. Because Sony can't afford to do that, but they can. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Make it where people, I want to get an Xbox because it's going to be the cheapest place for me to play GTA. For those consumers that are casual, that you just like playing just GTA, you know what I mean? Or if they want to be bold and crazy, make Rockstar a fucking offer. Be like, yo, we'll give you $2 billion. You keep GTA on Game Pass day and date and keep it there for the foreseeable generation. And we'll give you 30% of every sale. Money talks. Getting $2 billion up front, believe me, they ain't gonna say no. Or if they want to be like you always say, crazier, be the powerhouse that you are, they can offer try to buy take two interactions. They got the money. And then make that shit exclusive to Xbox. PlayStation will be dead. They'll all lose it. You'll see all of them throwing themselves out the window, the fan base. Oh, damn it! Xbox, yeah! I know it's not realistic because it sells well on PlayStation. I'm not saying that. But I would do some crazy shit like that just to see how it goes. Even though in the back of my head, I'm like, yeah, we'll release it on PlayStation, but don't tell them shit. You're going to release it on PlayStation? No. Even though we know a year later we'll probably release it anyway. But we'll just to be motherfuckers to see how it goes. When you want to take control, you got to make bold moves. And that's what they used to do during the 360 generation. That's why most people, when you ask them, what was the greatest console generation ever, and they'll say, 360, even though for me it's Dreamcast, but that's a whole different story. But that's why they say that. Because that was the console that was the coolest, doing all these innovations, putting gaming at another level, had massive amounts of great games, great features. So many franchises that came out of that generation that were first, that came out from the first time, you know what I mean? And we could mention the list over and over. It goes on and on. Anything from Mass Effect all the way down to BioShock. Anything down from Limbo all the way to Castle Crashers. Anything from Gears of War all the way to, you know what I'm trying to say? To fucking what's the other one they made? That was big also. I want to say Forza because Forza got bigger during the 360. Especially Horizon. Remember Horizon 1 started on the 360. And that one was one of my favorites still to this day. I think that it should go back to that one and do that type of structure again. Because it felt more level, linear based, almost like an outrun, but with the features and perks that you do in the Horizons now instead of just being open world. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a great game, and it's still exclusive to Xbox to this day. You can't play it anywhere else. You know what I mean? Which is great. I don't know, man. I think she's doing a great job. Like I said, she said FanFest is back, traveling worldwide. She says they're working on a lot of things that we'll know some stuff soon. You see all the people at Xbox. Even Larry Herb that wasn't there, you see him tweeting stuff out, right? And he's not even there no more, right? You see that, you don't see that other dude that was always talking shit about him. What's his name? The one that left and came back with Blizzard. Mike Ybarra. Mike Ybarra hasn't said one thing, not one word. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Then you got Laura Fryer even doing positive videos about what they're doing so far, or what she's trying to do. So for me, I just feel the only thing she needs to do is be careful and not to do things focused based on the loudmouths. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. That was kind of my big thing because there's a lot of stuff. Well, number one, she's making a lot of changes.
Yes.
She talked about it. Number one. Number two, she's taking actual action on it. That's what's blowing everybody's mind. But number three, for me, just like you, who are you listening to? Who's in your circle?
Mm-hmm.
Don't fall into the trap. Realize who's really your fans, who's really your consumers.
Right.
Who wants to see your Xbox brand succeed. It's one thing to listen to a community of people. It's another thing when you have to get to the nitty gritty of what's going on, especially when it comes to the console war. And
Yeah,
again,
yeah,
I know
absolutely.
a lot of people don't want to admit that it's still going on until Sony is dead. This thing will exist.
Absolutely.
You have to break Sony. You have to get rid of Sony. Once you get rid of
Even
Sony,
until
we can
Sony
talk
and
about
Nintendo are gone, or at least not as prevalent, console wars will continue to exist. Absolutely.
it. The reason I say that is because a generation of gamers has been raised on PlayStation. So no matter what Sony does, they think
Hmm.
that's the way the industry should go. That's just the way it is. That's how ingrained it is in them as Sony fans. And
You know they
for
can
that
pass
not to
that torch
represent,
forward to any siblings or kids that they have.
yeah.
If they have kids, if they have nephews, they're gonna pass that mentality and state of mind because you see it now.
Well,
But
so
people,
that's
if
what I
people
mean.
go
So
ahead, go
that's
ahead.
what I mean when I talk about when I said in my video, right? It's you have to take drastic actions. And I know a lot of people think I'm nuts when I say this, but it matters because it's a culture, right?
Yeah,
And so the culture is Sony.
yeah,
Sony dominates, Sony first, Sony does no wrong. Even now, there's people finally holding Nintendo to task
yeah,
for things that they're doing.
yeah, yeah.
Still,
For what they're doing. Yeah, yeah.
but still, the worst culprit in the console war is Sony, and they get a pass all the time. And so
Absolutely.
that's why, for me, if I was to advise Asha, I would tell her, look, you really have to look closely at this because you could have the most powerful console. Because this is going to be deja vu all over again, right? You can have the most powerful console. You could be doing all the right stuff. You could be changing the prices and actually affect the industry in a positive way. You can do every single thing that you're doing. At the
Yeah.
end of the day, if you do not address the Sony Defense Force, if you don't address these ponies, if you don't acknowledge that a console war is real, it won't matter. None of this stuff will matter.
Right,
And
right.
and then in 10 years from now, somebody's gonna replace you
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
Phil was probably he checked all the boxes. He was a
Yeah,
gamer. He was at Microsoft for the longest time. Nice guy. Wanted to save the industry. He wanted to do all, and he did great stuff. Game Pass, all the stuff that they did is great, right? And she can benefit from that. All the stuff that Phil and Sarah had built, perfect, right? But at the end of the day, the one thing that they needed to address, they never did, and they never were going to address it. That's why a lot of people are shocked when Asha Sharma addresses Sean Layden on X, right? And I'm not talking like months later or undercover. She addressed it right there at that moment,
Oh yeah, with the stupidity that Sean Layden said. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and that's what they really need. They need someone like her, but what Xbox really needs is they need her to really fight. This is a battle. This is a battle. I know people don't want to believe that, but this is just the truth.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Because these guys will not rest.
Well, brother, how is it not considered a battle? People are like, "Oh, why go back? You're making money." Listen, the money that Microsoft is making on PlayStation is like pocket change. They don't need it. They're only doing it to make more money,
Yeah,
but they don't need it. They really don't need it because if they force people to come on Xbox, right? Because that will be the term being used.
yeah.
They're gonna do it because Call of Duty will do that. Elder Scrolls will do that. You get what I'm saying?
No, 100%.
Gears of War will do that. Farming will do that. See what I'm saying? Maybe not a newer, smaller IP, but those games that are behemoths that are already synonymous in the world. Minecraft. They should have a PlayStation, Nintendo. You see how niggas will go real quick and buy an Xbox. Even the little kids, mommy, I want an Xbox. I gotta play my Minecraft. They'll do it. I'm telling you. It probably won't replace them from playing on their Nintendo or on their PlayStation, but they'll go out and buy that Xbox for that one game. People think that don't exist. Yes, they will. Especially if they can't play it anywhere else. You know what I mean? And again, we're talking about the console space. Because you know we always get the dummy. You just did a PC. PC gamers and console gamers don't think alike. We're very different.
If you're a PC gamer, you want Microsoft to dominate
Right. You want them to,
You
right.
want them to dominate the industry. You don't want Sony to do that by default. And Sony doesn't dominate just by default. The
Well, I
narrative.
mean, Sony just proved it by telling them they're not going to put no more of the single player games on PlayStation, which
Yeah,
we all know that's because the initiative that Xbox did with Sarah Bond, okay, because it was her with Portable Will and Evil, the Xbox Rogue Alliance. It gives you the ability to play your Xbox games and your PC games.
right.
You can play every PlayStation game that's on Steam on that machine, and even run it better to a certain extent than their PS4 or their basic standard PS5 to a certain degree, right? And this is why Sony's like, no, man, if we can let them play the games and they can buy it through PC, then what's going to make our console appealing? They'll just stay on Xbox. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, 100%.
And that's why they did that. People are like, oh, no, 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 no. They're doing that because them motherfuckers are scared. They know what time it is. You know what I mean? They may not admit it. They'll act cocky and be like, nah, we good. We just trying to do what's best for PlayStation. Yeah, we know. How are you going to make your console next generation, the PS6, appealing if your games can be played on an Xbox or can be played on a PC? They know that's going to affect their sales. So they got to go back to their old ways and hoping and praying that people will buy the games again. Because the other problem they have is that their actual exclusives, people don't really buy. The only ones they're buying are the Marvel games or something like God of War, right? That has legs. But the Marvel games is because you got all the fucking Marvel fans that only play Marvel games buying a console to play those exclusives, which are casuals. They're casual comic fans. They're not really video game fans. They're the ones that buy every Marvel Legend figure, but they won't buy any DC, even though they've been around together since the beginning, right? And DC was first, but they claim that they like comic books. No, you're just a Marvel shill. That's what you like. That's what you buy. So that's why they follow it. But if that Spider-Man PS2 or Wolverine, for example, wasn't stranglehold by Sony right now, and it was on PlayStation, Xbox, and maybe even Nintendo to a certain extent, right? Because I don't know how well the Switch 2 would be able to run it, right? Everybody would be buying those games in all those different platforms. They wouldn't be buying it just on PlayStation. You know what I mean?
I mean, I don't have a problem with what Nintendo and Sony does. Actually, it makes sense to me because
Yeah,
that's business, right?
and
So,
that's all they have.
but the problem I'm having is that when it was under Phil and Sarah, they just ignored it, right? And that's what would bug me, right? It's like you're extending the hand to them, but they don't care. And obviously, that just doesn't work. That's why, the news right now is out here that Asha is debating whether to do pull exclusivity. No, you shouldn't debate it. You should just pull it. Now you have stuff that's out there right now. Probably should leave that out there, right? You don't want to give these guys any more ammunition than what's out there. But then again, you can look at the small amount that you guys sold, with the exception of a couple games. Which to me, guys, when people tell me you sold 1-2 million games, when you have the industry as big as it is and you have big user bases, I mean, what does that mean to me? You know what I mean? My perspective. People can disagree with me, right?
Right, right.
But at the end of the day, she should just pull it back. You shouldn't be sending anything over there. And the stuff that you have sent over there, I mean that's a call that she has to make. But I'm for cutting the cord. Everybody go back to their countries, right? Go back to their fan bases.
Like you said, they're countries. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Do the thing. Fuck
yeah.
it. Get out. You want to come in here? You got to pay us and do it the right way. That's it.
I mean,
So
it irritates me. It irritates me that we even have to have this kind of discussion because I
right.
would rather then focus the energy and instead of worrying about what ticks over in PlayStation and what people are thinking over there, focus on what you have here. And that's what it seems to be to me
Yeah.
that she's doing.
Yeah. That's always been the problem that a lot of the Xbox fans
Yeah.
worry more about what PlayStation does and has and Nintendo instead of worrying what they got, and then vice versa. PlayStation dudes always worry about what Xbox got, but they try to act like they don't care.
Yeah.
But as we all seen, as soon as it comes to PlayStation, it's different. But I always said they only do it because they have malicious intent. They're only doing it so they can be like, you motherfuckers got no exclusives. That's all the reason they do it for. Because they're that stupid, they're that petty, they're that ignorant. You know what I mean?
You know, if you could do something like we'll take YouTube for example. If there was an algorithm that could block you from talking about Xbox when you're not an Xbox person, these people's channels would go out of business. That's how bad it is on their side, right? Because every time I open up YouTube, every time I type in Xbox, the majority of the people videos that I see are people that don't own an Xbox, that don't play Game Pass, that don't buy Xbox games, and don't have the console. You know what I'm saying? It's like they're only talking about it because it's something to talk about and it gets them clicks, which I think is sad. If you're a pro Sony channel, if you're a pro Nintendo channel, and you get more clicks talking about the competitor than you do your own console or the ecosystem that you occupy, right? That says it all. That says to me that's why I believe Microsoft is the true leader in the gaming industry. Because whether the news is good, whether the news is bad, or there's just regular news, right? It's always about Xbox.
Well, why, if they weren't the leader, why is it all of a sudden you're seeing these articles? Because the rambling is that they're talking behind closed doors that exclusivities are coming back, right? Exclusives. And yet, right now you're seeing articles like I was just telling you before. Xbox betrays PlayStation once again. I'm like,
Right.
betrays? When the fuck they betrayed them the first time, first of all? And second of all, Xbox owns these titles and developers. They don't got to put their games nowhere.
Right.
You want to play them on an Xbox. Isn't that the same model that they use for PlayStation and Sony and nobody has a problem with it?
Yeah, that's
In fact, when Sony goes, yeah, exclusive, nowhere else. Yeah, that's the way it is. That's what I love. Yeah, Sony's the shit. That's the type of shit you hear. Shit, I saw an article today talking about Sorrows from the developers of Returnal. Returnal got horrible numbers as far as reviews, and it only sold like 500,000 copies. And I heard what I saw today. Sorrows proves Sony can make one exclusive a year, and it will destroy anything that Xbox does. It's a masterpiece because they make quality games. So Forza's not quality. Starfield's not quality. Gears of War, the upcoming Fable. Those are not quality games. No. No. Top of Midnight wasn't quality. No. Absolutely. That just tells me you didn't play the fucking game. Right?
right.
So again, this is the article I woke up to this morning because Sorrows is getting like 10s at 9s. A masterpiece. When all it is Returnal with a new skin. It's Returnal 2.0 and with new polishes and features.
Mm.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, because when Returnal came out, the first one, they had other games they could cling on to. It was a man. Nobody was paying attention now because that's all they got this year so far. It's a masterpiece. I told my sons, if Sony brought out one exclusive every year, that exclusive will always win Game of the Year, and it will get 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Because those are the only games they're bringing out, and they are not going to torture or trash a game unless it's like completely horrible. A PlayStation game, especially when that's the only output that they had for that year. And with the fake ass Jeff Keighley awards that he runs, when he's the most dedicated number one pony in the world, especially on social, right?
Yeah.
You really think he's going to do the ballot choice and picking for games fair? No. He's going to have his committee, which are all PlayStation Nintendo centric. They're going to pick out all the games and then put a fucking poll outside. Out of these games, which ones you pick? And then be like, Spider-Man, Remastered, Sorrows. Then it'll be like Last of Us Remastered, the Demon Souls remaster and the upcoming Wolverine, and then it'll be like, oh yeah, and Crimson Desert. You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Every game will be a PlayStation game, and then it'll be like one other game that was big, and they'll do the polls based on that. That tells you that if they pick those games, they're not real fans. They're just shills for that company. Real fans are going to be real because last year, the game of the year, whether people want to accept it or not, was motherfucking Split Fiction. And when you tell me that's just corny, I know for a fact you never played the game.
Yeah.
Split Fiction is the most unique game that did so many things that I've never seen before in a video game in the last 20 years. It was like when we played Gears for the first time and it was doing a bunch of cool shit you never saw before, right?
Yeah.
When you played games like Inversion or Army of Two, that they were trying to do new things. But that game did a bunch of shit you've never seen before. The ending alone is fucking retarded. It's absolutely epic. And no one talked about it. No one. No one. No one. They were all like, no, it's Expedition 33. Expedition 33. It's a fucking goddamn motherfucking turn-based. The only thing that was remarkable about that game is that 20 people made it. That's it. That it proved that you don't need billions and millions of dollars to make a good quality game that's AAA status, right?
Yeah.
That's all it really proved. But if you really look at the games, right, that came out last year, the ones without a shadow of a doubt, like I said, that should have been game of the year was Split Fiction. If it wasn't Split Fiction, I would have gave it to South of Midnight, because South of Midnight is a fantastic game, whether people want to believe it or not. Shit, when it came out for PlayStation, I seen people like, you know, playing it for the first time, like streaming it. Oh my God, I can't believe this game exists. I didn't know this game was this good. The game been out on Xbox for 2 years and you don't know the game was this good? What the fuck are you talking about? You see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Like, what?
This sucks.
It was like when they started playing you know, games on Game Pass, like Sunset Overdrive, like Quantum Break, Recore, what was the other one? What was the other one? Oh my God. Rise, Son of Rome. Remember when we were having that discussion all those years back? We were saying that Rise, Son of Rome was the kind of game that if it was in our generation, would have sold millions of consoles.
Yeah.
But now they treated it like it was garbage because it was 900p. Right? And we said, clear as day, it was us talking about this. Even back then, 2014, 13, 15, Rise would have sold millions of consoles if it was in our generation in the 80s and 90s. Right?
Yeah.
And so when it hit Game Pass, you saw all these people, oh my God, this game is incredible. It's beautiful. The graphics are insane. The gameplay is amazing. The story is like movie theater quality. Oh my God, how did I know about this game? How did I play? Because you're not gamers.
Yeah, they're not gamers.
Because you were following a narrative, and that narrative was 900p. You remember when they were saying shit like 1080p makes you a better gamer? Remember that with fucking PS4?
Yeah.
I remember that when Destin and Gary did that fucking thumbnail with his hand with 900p on one side and 1080p on the other side. I still got that photo still in my library.
Dude, he still hasn't did that down, bro.
Got it out.
Rightfully so.
No, it's all bullshit. And then what gets me, man, is that people keep on acting like, oh, they're just trying to discredit what Phil did or what Sarah did. No, they're not discrediting it. What they did worked, but it worked for the name of Xbox as a brand in an ecosystem. They got all those, like, really solid, what you call it, cloud gaming, services getting better. They got the games on other consoles, more games on PC, right? More Play Anywhere titles, putting a portable on the go, putting them on all devices. It worked. It worked. Yes. But what was happening? What were you hearing? What were you seeing? The console. The console was getting put to the side. And that is where the biggest Games Pass subscription subscribers are laying and playing. They hadn't done a custom controller and fucking headset since Starfield. Look at how they made one for Forza and how everybody's excited and it's sold out everywhere almost. Or it's selling out. That's console culture. And one thing that Xbox has to fix with that whole Asha also concentrate on. If you make your AAA games, stop making them where it's only digital. Release them all on the disc. Move from the 50 gig disc to the 100 gig disc if you have to. And put them all on the disc, just like PlayStation. So the consumers, the 9 million people that still buy, or the 7 million people, I think, that still buy physical on Xbox, can have that option. Because 8 million, 9 million, or 7 million people, I think that's the number, that buy on Xbox physical, that's not a little bit amount of people. Especially when you're arguing that 5 million copies of Forza sold on PlayStation, that's fantastic. Isn't that hypocrisy? So 5 million people that still buy a physical game of Xbox or the game in general on PlayStation, that's amazing. But the other 9 to 10 million that still buy physical on Xbox, not catering to them is not good. Those sales of the console sales, of the games not selling a lot, I'll put money, and I'll say it again, I'll put money. That a lot of it was also from them not printing physical copies with the games on the disc. They did it with Doom, right? Which is another title they could have kept for themselves. They did it with Avowed. They did it with Starfield. They did it with Halo Infinite. They did it with Flight Simulator. Even though I understand Flight Simulator a little bit more because it's so much information, you have to use it online. I get that. Forza Motorsport, the new one, right? They did it with Gears, the Reloaded remake. They gave Sony an actual physical copy, and they didn't even make one for the Xbox or the Xbox console fans. Mm-hmm. How do you do that? They were going to do it with Ninja Gaiden 4. They published it, paid for it, and there was going to be only a PlayStation version and not an Xbox version. Then people started complaining on social, and they listened to the backlash and finally included one, which we were able to get it. See what I'm saying? So that needs to be fixed. It needs to be fixed, especially when the motto is no one stays behind. We're about real gaming preservation, and we're about real options in the gaming space. That means you have to provide everyone, not just your little streamers on cloud, not just your digital buyers on your console or on your store. No, your console-based gamers that like buying physical as well. You have to cater to them. If you want to be on the safe side about the numbers, then make it where you can buy it on the Xbox store directly, or make it as a pre-order, made to go based on pre-order. That's not going to hurt nobody. You're protecting yourself, and you're still giving the option. It's not like you don't have an option, right? Now, crowdfunding, no, because that will make you look bad because you got money. You don't need to crowdfund. But at least made as to pre-order, they can do that. A lot of people are doing it and proven right where they make Xbox physical game for games like Streets of Rage, and they sell in the boatload, right? Because it was a physical copy available, even though it was not mass, produced. Even though it did mass produce it later on, where you could get it anywhere, because it did so well. See what I mean, brother? So there's no excuses, and that's why I said, Asha, what she needs to do is just listen to the fans, the real fans, the ones on Xbox. Not to the media, where you see they're always trying to twist and turn whatever you say, always trying to get something out of you. Like, if, let's say, when Gears of War gets announced, right? You know they're going to do interviews after the announcement in E3 or the keynote, right? And you know the first thing they're going to say is, well, is Gears of War 5 or 6? Is it coming to PlayStation? You know they're going to do that. Mm-hmm. Those are the people that you know right there, Frank Flags. They don't care about Xbox. They just want to push the narrative or because they're PlayStation fans. Don't listen to them. Those are the dudes that you gotta be like, no, it's not coming. Sorry. It's an Xbox console exclusive. And we're more than glad to have you on our console to play these great games. They belong on Xbox console. You know what I mean?
No, I agree. 100%.
It's like the narrative with the Xbox Series X console and the PS5. Oh, Xbox Series X is way more powerful. We know this, but yet because it's not the leading platform, they keep making all the games parity, or even that they run better sometimes on PlayStation 5. I was like, you know, the PS5 was not a better hardware because if it was, Sony would have never took the money from the sales and made a PS5 Pro. They made the Pro so they could compete with the Series X because it was more powerful. That's why they did that.
Hmm.
So how stupid can you be? That's why Phil said, no, we don't need to make another console because Phil knows the architecture of the Series X. He knows what it has to offer, and he knows that it's very capable. It's all on the developers that they take the time to actually utilize it. But what Digital Foundry has said time and time again, they keep saying, yeah, we've heard through the grapevine and through many, many different developers that their focus is always the PS5 version, and now with the Pro as well, because the Xbox is not the leading platform. It doesn't sell, right? Or it doesn't sell as well, right?
Yeah.
So you think Microsoft doesn't see that data? That's why they did the Xbox One X to cut the noise during that generation. And what happened? Only their games showed the true power, while everybody else, when the PlayStation did the PlayStation 5 Pro, 4 Pro, which we know was garbage, they were keeping the games parity when they came to, the multi-plat.
Hmm.
You know, because they didn't want to insult Sony somehow or make them feel less cared for. So you could do it to the Xbox fans that pay the same amount of money that a PlayStation fan when they buy that game for 70, 60, or $80. You could charge us the same amount of money, but you can't put a little bit more time and effort on that version to make sure that we get to experience it at the best quality on our hardware, even if the PlayStation 5 Pro version may be slightly better. You see what I'm trying to say?
Hmm.
Because don't tell me that Pragmata should be the same exact resolution, frame rate, whatever, without other features, right?
Yeah.
As the PS4. I mean, as the PS5 standard. When the PS5 standard, we all know, is not more powerful. We're talking about a 9.5 teraflop versus a 12. A machine that has 180 something dedicated RAM as opposed to 387 dedicated RAM that Series X got. A console that has all the things built in and integrated in the hardware, right? Like the Dolby Atmos HDR, the Dolby Atmos surround sound, like the VRR, it's built in. Meanwhile, on the PS5, it's all firmware updated, even on the PS5 Pro. You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's crazy. I'm telling you. Like, that's all BS. And they know what they're doing because, like you said, most of the people in the industry, they are people that grew up with PlayStation and they just want to see PlayStation dominate and be the only presence in gaming for Nintendo. They don't want Xbox there.
I mean, these guys can't see a world where there would be no Sony. I definitely can.
Right, right.
I mean, it's been a long time coming, man. Like I say all the time, these guys have been holding us back. They're holding us back. They've been holding us back, because what developers and what industry analysts and industry insiders and people in the industry in general, right, always defaults to what Sony does or how will this affect Sony. And we need to get past that already. It's frustrating to me to see a company like Microsoft with their Xbox brand kowtow to these guys.
Yeah.
You don't do that. You should just run them over. You should just run them over and take that. take the title. You already are the industry leader. Just take the title.
Absolutely. You're making a console. And it's like I said to you before. I don't know if I mentioned it earlier in the podcast. The new console is more powerful than any console ever made. Again, right?
Yeah.
It's a hybrid where you're going to be able to play your full library of Xbox natively, it's, as they said,
Hmm.
plus play your PC games on that console. So you think Microsoft is going to go and spend maybe $8 billion, since the 360 was about $3 billion for R&D, taking a guesstimated, an educated guess, right, or an educated guesstimation. You think they're going to spend $8 billion on R&D, even if it was six, to be like, we're going to start next gen, and the first thing they're going to do is, oh, PS5 is better because it got exclusives, and Xbox doesn't, even though they're on Game Pass day and day. You know what I'm trying to say?
Hmm.
And they're gonna just put that console out there and be like, oh, we don't care if the hardware don't sell. That was the narrative that we're saying now, because they knew they couldn't change anything, and because they were making numbers with this, with obviously with Game Pass, with streaming services, putting games on other platforms. So they just said, let's just roll with it. But the new generation for Xbox starts next year. Console comes out next year, right? We know this because they already announced it with Asha during GDC. We're giving out Project Helix packages and sending stuff to people. They said they're going to talk more about it during E3 or the keynote. So we know that next year the new console is coming, right?
Hmm.
So the new console is coming. You think they don't want to get out the gate with that positivity, since there's no COVID, right? That's going to hurt it this time around, and make sure that they appeal and they're coming out strong and powerful? Of course they are. That's why they hired a new person in that position. Sarah Bond is not about console structure. She's about mobile structure. Asha is someone new coming in that markets products to convince people to buy those products. That's her title, right? And then she's also very introverted in AI. Phil Spencer's not introverted in AI, and neither is fucking Sally. So the future of AI is going to be part of gaming. So it makes sense. Once again, they're ahead of the game, and they have somebody in charge of Xbox that understands how they're going to use AI and for what. Sony doesn't have that, neither does Nintendo. You see what I'm saying?
100%.
Which is going to give them the advantages moving forward. Maybe with making games quicker. Some of the heavy loads that people do behind the behind the scenes before they release, like the polishing process. They'll use AI to polish the process. Which those things, instead of taking 5 years, maybe now it'll take 2.5 years to do a big AAA game. So that's the reason why someone like Asha makes sense. And shout outs to Dea, because Dea was the first one to actually point that out when she was on the podcast with Unlimited. And I didn't even think about it in that way. And I love that about her, because she didn't make it, because, Dea's a black woman, right?
Hmm.
She didn't make it about race. She says she liked Sarah. She liked what Sarah was doing. But if they're going back to concentrating and structuring more on the console fan base, that she understands why they would do that, because AI is a big part of that. And AI has to be in the forefront. And Asha's already ready to go in that department. That's why Asha said herself, I don't like AI slop, meaning, no, I don't want us to use AI to do sloppy, lazy work. I want us to use AI in the smartest way possible to make game development process better and faster and help out the developers. That's what she said. Even though, people skewed their words, like the Trump syndrome that people love doing. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like how what's her name? The one that talks to him, the girl with the blonde hair. What's her name? Is it Crockett? Dude, what's her name? The lady that speaks for Trump. in the podium with the blonde hair?
The secretary. What's her name?
Yeah, the secretary. What's her
Yeah,
name?
I forgot. I know
Yeah,
you.
yeah, Carolyn Levitt. I saw a headline yesterday. Another member, a female, is leaving Trump's administration, and then you come and find out that's because she's on maternal leave. She's
Yeah,
pregnant,
she's pregnant.
so she has to leave. She's on maternal leave, and so he's going to put somebody in to fill her shoes until she's ready to come back. Every headline made it seem like she was trying to leave like the other two bitches. I'm like, you see what I'm talking about? That's the type of shit they do with Xbox. And I use Trump as an example because that's what they do. Not because they're trying to make it political, but because it's a great example, right? For those that are paying attention, obviously, right? Because there's people that see it and act like they're blind. Like, oh, I don't see nothing. You know what I'm saying? You know? So again, it's never been about race. It's never been about not giving a person a, female or black position of power. It's because they're now focused on a new structure because they realize with the data, the console space is hurt for Xbox. You know what I mean? It's hurt. Lower numbers, lower console sales, not enough people buying those games, relying only on Game Pass, changing the tier to a lower tier, all that is going to reflect on them money-wise, right? Long term. So they don't want it to get worse. They want to mend the wound, stop the bleeding. We got a new console coming. We spend a lot of money making it, research and developing it. We need to focus on the console. We need to build the brand up again and hype it up. So when that console comes out next year, everybody's going to be standing online to get one, like they did with the Switch 2. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That makes absolute 1,000% sense from a business standpoint. See? I know you're going to hear motherfuckers out here do 40, you can see 40 podcasts, and I guarantee you'll only hear it from people like me and you, let's say, for example, at this moment, talking with all the ins and the outs and the logic and using that sense. And not making it political, not making it racist, not making it about it's a desperate act or it's just a fraud or it's just a what you call it, to make believe is that, but it's really something else behind it, like a false narrative. No, it just makes sense. We've been saying this forever. Culture, console culture is important because it's the DNA of video games. And it's not streaming services. It's not cloud gaming. It's not mobile. It's not the PC landscape alone. Dude, I bet anybody, any amount of money, that if PC was the only landscape, because you know people will say, oh, consoles are going to cease. There's going to be all PC. Gaming will die as we know it. It's not going to stay alive. It's just not. Basically, if PC took the spot, those 50 million consoles they sold, all those consumers, they're going to lose. Maybe 5 million will stay on PC. The rest are all gone. That's like almost 50% of the consumer base. You think Microsoft is that fucking stupid? That they're gonna let that division get that fucked that they lose all those consumers? They're not gonna do that. They're gonna be like, nope. We gotta take care of these console gamers, make them happy, focus on them, because they're the first ones that are gonna go buy the new console. It's not gonna be a PlayStation dude that only cares about PlayStation or a Nintendo dude that has a massive library. They're not gonna go buy an Xbox day one. They're not gonna be online the way that we are, buying that console day one when it launches. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. It's the Xbox fans, the real ones, the core fan base, like she said in one of the interviews. You see? So, I mean, call it what you want, but the reality is if you have common sense logic and you're somewhat educated and like to act like an educated individual, you're going to understand and be like, yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. When you got people say, oh, they just put her there so she can set up for Xbox to die out because it's going to be all about PC. Fuck PC. I'll never go on PC. None of my kids that are here, they like console. They're never gonna be on PC. My daughter had son that went on PC, and I call him a daughter head just joking around, not in a like actual mean sense, because he's following what he sees the younger kids that are casual, that are not being taught by their fathers, that were maybe a real hardcore gamer like myself since the beginning on console. He's just trying to stay. Oh no, well, what about if this happens? Listening to the messaging, and even now he's like, he barely touches his PC even, but he plays the same trick thing at games all the time. Same shit. Nothing new. Nothing new. Because he's realizing, oh, it's no different. It's actually worse. Because they don't get games like that. They get exclusives, but most of it is not. There's no mandate that they have to be quality. They just release them, kind of use them as a test ground, and then after they do that, they bring out the full package when it's actually polished to the mass media, meaning they'll release it on PC, finally the full game, and then also release them on consoles and have a better response on a console than a PC. Hello?
No, I'm here. I'm listening.
So, and again, they even talked about Jason Ronald, about, backwards compatibility is coming back. Backwards compatibility is coming back. When we said from the very beginning, when they announced that we're going to stop the program, go around that, figure it out. That's one of the best features that feature alone destroys anything anybody else offers. On top of Game Pass, on top of being able to run emulators on your console. I could play every PlayStation game to PS3 on my Xbox via emulator. They can't even do that shit. They're legacy titles. In a better quality. All the way from loading to resolution, from frame rate to HDR implementation. And the same thing with Nintendo. They don't even do that on their console. They can't. And you telling me that the Xbox is not the best value? You're fucking retarded. Whoever thinks that, and I'll tell you in your face, you're retarded. Or you're uneducated, one or the other. You know what I mean? So, I like what she's doing. And I think that it's in the right direction. But she has to stay focused on the fans, the real fans. She got to learn how to distinguish the ones that are trying to set her up from the ones that don't really care. You know what I mean? That are just trying to act like they care, but they don't.
I mean, they just have all these guys. They just have bad takes on everything because they just keep on following the same narrative. You can see where they get their information from. You can tell what systems they play. You can tell what type of games they play. You know what I mean? They have no ability to step outside themselves and judge things for what they are. And that's bad. If you can't do that, that's bad. If you can't do that, you shouldn't be giving advice to people. You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't be taken seriously. And a lot of them, and it's not that they're taken seriously. Most of the time, it's just that they're saying stuff that other people want to hear. That's why these guys have such big followings. That's why they keep on doing the content on Xbox, because it gets them clicks. Even though now you notice that it's less and less than what they used to get, but it still gets them clicks. Right? I couldn't do my channel like that. I don't care how big I got. I could never do that.
Oh, absolutely. I can't be hypocritical like that either. Hell no. I understand that, okay, so you'll get a better reception and more views and stuff. But just the fact that I'm being disingenuous, I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I can't.
Couldn't do it. I can't lie like that with a straight face and be like, oh, yeah. Like, I could never shit on something that I like just so that I can make money with something that everybody else likes. I can't do that.
Yeah.
There's no way. There's no way.
These guys, and then you end up painting yourself into a corner, right? And so once everything, and I'm just waiting for that, for that other shoe to drop. And I hope it begins with her. She seems to be on the right track, in my opinion, where she's going. Because at the end of the day, I mean, it'll matter. It'll matter in the long run. I said this on the video I did earlier. they put so much time and energy, and to not follow through and deal with the real issues at hand when it comes to their brand,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and how that brand is treated, um, in the community, in the gaming industry and the community.
In the industry, yeah. By media, by people on social, streamers, everything, everything. Even in the stores. Dude,
So
you go to the store.
as good as
I don't
Phil is, or as
I don't
good
know if
as
I
Phil
told you the
was.
story. Did I tell you the story? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. My bad.
No, I just want to say, as good as Phil is and was. I
Hmm.
mean, that was his Achilles heel. Like he really needed to address that problem, and all the good that he did, everything that he did, which is awesome. Like he built
Oh, he did a
the
whole hell of a
Xbox
bit.
brand.
Yeah, yeah. He did massive good stuff. Absolutely.
But it was sad to see.
But the
It was
main
sad to
focus,
see it end.
everybody else was just what he did wrong. I agree.
Well, it was for me. I was sad to see that all of that hard work he put into it, it was almost for nothing, because they still find themselves back in 2013 as far as perception and narrative.
Right, right, right. Which again, perception doesn't make you money, but at the same time, it kind of does. Because if you have that perception, people are going to buy your product.
Well,
See
the
what I'm saying?
problem being is that they always sit there, they run their analytics, they got their analysts out there looking at everything, and they keep on asking them the same questions over and over. What are we missing? What are we gonna do? What is
Right,
this now? There's some stuff that they're doing now that I think they got their finger on, and that's worth doing. But until they address the real elephant in the room, I feel they're just gonna be stuck in the same place that they're stuck now,
right, 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 right.
because they don't want to believe that there's people out there that actually that just hate them.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Right, right.
They don't want to acknowledge that.
That no
Or
matter what they do, it's always going to be, oh, Xbox, like I said, well, the articles today.
Mhm.
Xbox betrays PlayStation once again. You know what I mean? I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah,
That was from Push Square. Well, how are they betraying you if they don't owe you anything?
yeah.
Like, since when does Xbox own PlayStation anything? And there's also another good point that I remember you brought up when we were speaking. Listen, if developers that work for Xbox
Hmm.
have a problem with their games being exclusive, then they need a reality check or they need to be fired and replaced by new people. Because Bethesda, ZeniMax, and Activision were fired because they were on the verge of bankruptcy. With all the fucking things that, like with Bobby Kotick supposedly being fresh with all these women, and that woman that was harassed by him or by someone else that he never addressed went and killed herself, all that stuff. That's why they went to them and said, "Would you acquire us?" Because they know they needed help. And not, Microsoft told them, "No, no, 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 go somewhere else," because they knew no one else is going to offer them what they wanted. And then when they came back, because they had no other choice, no other option, that's when Microsoft said, "Okay, sure, we'll give you 79 billion." You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Because they wanted 120 something billion, right?
Yeah.
And so you sit down with a meeting with them and say, "Look, guys, I love your work and I want more people to play your games. But in this business, it's about making your product the best product with the values so people will buy your product. If people want to really play your games, they'll buy an Xbox or play on a PC to play your games. We don't got to put them anywhere else." The data shows that, the data proved that. One of the two games that we put, or maybe two out of the two games that we put, did well or semi well. The rest failed. That's a waste of time of R&D and research to make it on a PlayStation console, and yet it doesn't sell. Waste of money, waste of time, waste of resources. So from this point forward, the games are on Xbox. You make the best version and you put all the money on that version, right? Because how that even look that you go play, let's say again, let's say like Starfield as an example, and they're trying to say that the Starfield looks and runs better on the PlayStation Pro than it does on the Series X, and the Series X has more power and more actual flexibility to achieve those same things. but yet they didn't put that resource because they took the extra resource and time that they had to do it for the Xbox and put it on the PlayStation. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That for me makes no sense. So you tell them straight up, we owe you. When you guys were gonna go bankrupt, did Sony buy you? No. Did Nintendo buy you? No. Did Apple buy you? Did Google buy you? No. We bought you. So we own you. You are ours. We own you as a company. Not as a people, but as a company. So your job is to obey what we want. If you don't like that, you have every right to walk away and we'll hire someone else in your position. You see what I'm saying? You really think they're going to just walk away from all the money they make on Xbox to go to Nintendo to make 3/4 or 1/4 of the thirds when it's still going to be the same concept? Nintendo's going to tell them the same shit, and so is Sony. Our games. So what's the difference? You really think they're going to complain? No. And also what drives me crazy is that I hate, look, where there's smoke, there's fire, right? That's the saying, right or wrong?
Mm-hmm.
So how is it that the ramblings are from multiple sources, multiple developers, multiple people, even people that weren't there anymore, saying that there was a lot of back and forth and uncomfortability with a lot of developers because they didn't like the way that Sarah Bond was approaching them. I don't know if it's how she was making certain demands, telling them to do certain things, like, oh, no, just put it everywhere. Xbox is everything. And they didn't like that type of idea or ideology, right? Because they were more in the traditional sense. And people are trying to say, oh, and trying to act like that wasn't also maybe part of the reason why she had to be replaced. You can't say it's because she's a woman or because she's a woman of color, because you're going to tell me that out of all the 20 million or 20,000 workers or 100,000 or whatever it may be that work at Xbox, they're all, what they call that, feminists, or they're all racist? Is that what you're going to tell me? Including all the other women that work in other positions? Does that make any kind of sense? Well, does it, brother?
Yeah, especially if you work for Microsoft. Microsoft is one of the most
Diverse companies in the world.
they're a left-leaning company.
Yeah.
Like you can tell who they vote for, you can tell who they donate to.
That's
right?
what I'm saying.
Yeah, so it's absolutely ridiculous.
Look, when you got the guy that worked for years, that when we first started working, when we saw him, he was a man, right?
Yeah.
And now, when you see him, he's damn near the Wachowski sisters. He's a woman now, right?
Right.
If you see a dude like that working at Xbox, why would you even think that Sarah Bond was fired because she was either a woman of color or because she was a woman? That don't make no kind of sense to me. None.
I mean, it is color, but the color is green at the end of the day. That's what a lot of people are waking up to right now. Because when the money's coming in and companies are doing really well, they do so well that they can, humor themselves with all this stuff that's going on. They get political, right? They start to look at things. Look, dude, like in this country, man. We're so spoiled with a lot of stuff. You go to a third world country, you live over there, and it kind of changes your perspective. And that's the problem with the industry.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
How many females have you ever seen that are representing when they do their shows or their keynotes or presentations or interviews? How many women do you see that work at PlayStation and Nintendo?
Yeah.
On Xbox, every show they do is nothing but women. All types of different women. Or from a different nationality.
I mean, and to a fault as well.
Well, exactly. That's what I'm saying. When you see Nintendo, it's always the old heads or some new young weirdo looking type dude. Maybe when they're on the showroom floor, you'll see a woman there playing or talking. When you see PlayStation, you see all the men, and then they have that one woman. She's all the way in the side corner by herself, and she barely talks. But nobody says nothing.
You know what though? That's kind of on Microsoft too, because Microsoft pushes that stuff out there too.
Do. But my point is that if you see Microsoft doing that and they kind of flaunt it, like they're proud of it, why would you say such a or think, right? Such a flawed idea.
Well, as the saying goes, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. You know what I'm saying? No,
I
like I
guess.
was telling you, like when we were talking about it, my problem with all of that is it. I don't want to detract away from anything from Sarah Bond. She's an accomplished woman.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's why I don't buy into that narrative. At the end of the day, man, they were going in one direction. Now you can sit there and say she got blindsided. You can make that point. You can say that the rug was pulled out from under her. That's a
Mhm.
definitely I think a point you can make. We could have that discussion. But at the end of the day, dude, you're in the corporate level. Like you cannot be at that level and not expect these kind of things to happen. And it's happening all over the industry.
They did it to Don Matrix. They thought they
Well, but
did
when
it
I
to,
say industry, I'm not talking about gaming. I'm talking about corporate across the board, dude.
but they did it to Don Matrix when they thought Don Matrix wasn't doing a good job.
Yeah. Over one thing, and Don Matrick was right.
And Don Matrix was right, and what he said was one thing, and he still got fired for it, even though he was right.
Yeah, and he's right. Right. That's why you have these people now bringing up 2013. They were right. Xbox was right. You didn't
Oh,
want to hear the message. You know what I saw, dude? I saw a thumbnail with Tyrone Magnus, and he was crying about DRM and Sony. And that's why I don't like people like that, because I'm like, dude, that was there. It's going to happen. Right? You
yeah.
might not like it, but at least be honest
But you
about
talking
it.
about the new video he did?
I saw the thumbnail. I didn't watch the video.
Oh, okay, that's what it's about. I didn't even realize.
Well, that's what I think it's about. I could be wrong, but that's it's still DRM.
I'm not saying. I mean, it doesn't really matter if you're wrong or right to the T, but it's got to be around that timeline, something. Because I know he said something. I know it says that Sony's about to do the same thing that Xbox did that hurt them. I think that's what it said on the thing, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that dude is. Again,
Well, again,
this is when you don't stay in your lane.
yeah, for sure. You
But
know, he
that's
does videos about anything that's going on, that's trending. Because Tyrone Magny, unfortunately, he just cares about trends because he wants to make money.
well,
That's his livelihood.
but the problem I have with him is that he's a pony, and he can tell.
Yeah, he's definitely funny.
Yeah. So stick to what you know, bro, because gaming is not one of those things.
Absolutely.
And again, this is again, like I was saying earlier. Asha has to do big moves, man. There's no way around it. She has to establish authority for this brand, right? And she has to do big moves. And I'm not talking about what she's doing now. That stuff's all great. But like we talked about it, dude. She needs to go hard. She needs to go medieval on this industry, and establish that no, we're here. We're here. Don't just say that we're here to stay, right? Don't just say yeah. We do it by just
Prove it and show it like with those aggressive moves. Yeah.
yeah a truly aggressive move, right? Like you were saying earlier, like you were saying about COD. What they could do with COD to avoid the 10-year thing,
Mhm.
or paying a bunch of money to Rockstar, right? There has to be that kind of level of moves, in my opinion. That's just my opinion.
Come on here. You realize that, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. No, you're 100% right. Yeah, though you got to go medieval. Like my daughter just went medieval on me on air, just like that. No, but and that's the truth. That's the truth. That's the truth. No kumbaya shit. No, that doesn't work. I get why Phil was doing it because he cares about the industry. He wants the industry to do better as a whole.
Well,
Phil doesn't see. Phil
personal.
doesn't see.
Yeah.
Phil doesn't see the need to have to be fighting back and forth over things. I get it. But unfortunately, the reality is you got two Japanese companies that only do things the traditional way. They're set on their ways, and they proved it. We're not going to change. If you want to let us, if you want to bend down in front of us and lick our ass, that's your choice. We're still not going to stop doing what we're doing.
But that's why I ranted that the rant I did on that video a couple weeks ago, man. Or like I think it was like 2 months ago when it came to Phil. I was like, dude, if you truly believe in what you believe, you have to fight. You have to do something, dude. You just can't sit back and hope that people will agree with you.
Right, or look at it from your point of view or perspective. Right.
You have to go out there. Like if you believe in that stuff, then fight for it. That's worth fighting for. If you can't handle a crap gamer or the stuff that we say because we're in the console war, at least for the things that you've built and then the companies that are suffering, the people whose jobs will be lost, right? The money that you guys are going to lose and not be able to expand the utopia of gaming that you want to see in the gaming industry. You know what I'm saying? That alone should inspire you to push back, right? Like not even hardcore. Like you could do what Asha is doing, right? Like actually listening to the fans, and that's another thing that irritates me. Like I know that Phil and Sarah and Matt knew what was going on. It's just that they decided not to acknowledge it. It's not
Yeah,
that
yeah,
they
they
did.
thought by acting like more professional that it would just go away, but it's not. The whole
You know,
thing is they were professional about it and it still didn't work. Hey,
if it,
brother,
if it's oh, go ahead.
no, I was going to tell you, I need to step away for a few minutes. Can you hold down whatever you're going to talk and I'll be right back, okay?
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right.
Since we have time, I'm sorry guys. I know, Mr. Barry. Thanks for stopping in, brother. Sorry I missed that messages. Just listening to Hebot. This is kind of like this is why I wanted to do the podcast. I wanted to get to him Hebot's perspective. Because I haven't seen anything of videos that he's done, so that's why we're doing that. What's up, Toolman, man? Thanks for coming back, brother. Sorry, we're just doing a quick, I'll bring back the Wrecking Crew podcast. We'll talk about this stuff because it merits talking about. As Hebot was saying, a lot of the stuff that he says. We talk about this stuff offline as well, but I think it's important, man. Like that's my only disappointment with Xbox. They took the high road, but when you're taking the high road, they just ignored the things that was festering underneath, especially when it comes to um, Xbox and their brand and the ecosystem. Right? They were more than happy to push forward and appreciate the good things, but not focusing on the negative stuff. Asha seems like a breath of fresh air. Like I said, new sheriff in town, and she's gonna deal with it, and she has been dealing with it. Hey, what's up, Lotus, man? Yeah, Xbox for life, brother. Looks like we're back. Hopefully, we're back. Right? We'll everything that's been going on has been very positive. I know some people have a thing. I talked about this the other day with the price drop. I think they could have gone lower, but hey, that's just me, and I'm not complaining because it's a discount at the end of the day. But it'll be interesting to see what she's going to do because there's a lot of stuff being said out there, and that's why we're doing this podcast talking about who is Asha listening to? Hopefully to herself, right? Then again, like Hebot was saying with Shire Vaughn, right? That's for me, man. I just be dignified about her and her situation. This is my opinion, right? That because she chose the course, and unfortunately that didn't work out, right? Like they had a game plan, but game plan changes all the time, guys. It's not a one size fits all sometimes. And as you guys can tell by what's going on in every industry across the board, for some reason everybody just ultra focuses on Xbox. But if you just stick your head out of the sand and you look at what's going on all the way around, you'll see like this is not just an Xbox problem or a Microsoft problem or a video game industry problem. It's just an industry problem in general. Lotus says, I'm super happy with $14 Game Pass on Rogue Ally. Oh, okay. Nice. I know they're going to come out with more tiers. So it'll be interesting to see what they're going to offer people. Like, I know that they're going to do that with the, what is that? Shoot, what did you call that? But I saw they did like a Nitro bundle or there was a league about a Nitro bundle, like allowing you to make your choices about what kind of perks you're going to get, right? I mean, it sounds like they're doing like Xbox did in 2015 when Phil officially, I think Phil took over in 2013. But in 2015, man, they were doing that. Let's see what sticks, right? Throw everything up against the wall, see what sticks, and roll with that. What I hope Asha does is she can do that. Looks like she is doing that, right? Because she has to see for herself what's going to work, what's not working, what to differentiate what people say and what they truly mean. Are they serious or not? And that's good to see her doing that, right? But at some point in time, she's gonna have to start making the choices. Like how Phil and his crew did. They started making the choices of what they were going to do, the direction they were going to go, and as you can see, that didn't work out for them. And I've been talking about this all the time for years on my channel. They need to go hardcore. They need to establish the brand. They need to dominate the industry, and they need to do it by any means necessary. Especially since they're in a position where they can. Because I actually believe in what Xbox is doing with their brand. I believe in their vision for what gaming should be. Um, but the only way that they're going to be able to do that is they have to have total control. And by total control, I mean all the stuff that you see with Xbox. You can just go on YouTube right now, click on just type in Xbox, and you see all the videos that are out there and how they approach these topics. Even though the news is positive, especially for fans of Xbox, right? It has a negative. A lot of the information out there has a negative slant. A lot of the stories, a lot of the videos that people are doing, there's a negative slant to a lot of the stuff that they're talking about, right? Because they only get their news from the gaming media. Um, Bad news sells, right? And these people need clicks and views. And then and like I say all the time, I'm not sure about. There's just people just hate the brand and don't see Xbox or don't think Xbox should be in the space. And that's what I want Asha to realize, man. That people just want you gone. And as a person who's a fan and a consumer, I would say those people can jump off a cliff, right? That's what I would do if I was running Xbox, and I'm not. I'm buying my computer, right? But if I was to give Asha any advice, that's what I would do. They don't, dude. It's dog eat dog at this point in the gaming industry, dude. The economy's bad. There's winners and losers every single day across the board, right? There's companies that are making great games that get shut down, that get shuttered. There's people making games that are art and won't be able to make another game because of the way its economy is brutal. It's brutal right now. So put yourself in the position to defend yourself, your brand, and all the hard work, the blood, sweat, and tears and treasure that you put into the Xbox as it is right now. You know, make those adjustments. Totally looking forward to that. Some of them's already taking place. You do you, work on you, but don't be ignorant of the fact, or more worse, what Phil them did, bury their head in the sand. Hopefully that through the power of goodness, through the power of kindness, that people would turn and then actually appreciate their brand and their games. And obviously that did not work. Look, you tried the carrot, now it's time for the stick. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, you need to beat these guys into submission. And I know that sounds brutal, and what I'm saying is you already dominate the industry. You just need the title. That's all you need. You just need the title. And for me, I support that because I actually believe in what you guys are doing, and I like what you're doing. Even the things that I don't like that you do, it's not on a drastic level against all the other things that I do like that you do. You know what I'm saying? They have a great brand. They're gamer friendly. They're people friendly, right? Xbox, for all its exploits and as well as its fails, right? By the industry standard. Again, I didn't have a problem with the $29.99. I just adjusted other stuff, but then it boils down to what value do people put on their on Xbox? It's easy for somebody to say, "Well, this sucks, this junk. They don't have this, they don't have that." If they don't buy into the ecosystem, if they're not Xbox people. You have to give them a reason to be here, or you have to force them to be here. You've given Phil and crew give them tons of reasons to be here, and that didn't work. Now you have to force them to be here. I.e., I would get medieval with COD. I would start buying as many people as possible. Right? I've already talked about this ad nauseum, so people are sick of it on my channel. Buy the EAs, right? Buy the Ubisofts, right? Build your fortress, right? Build your arsenal, right? Get these developers that develop games that people buy into, right? And what I mean by that are they produce content that gets returns, that produce returns, like a COD, right? And then I went on my rant with COD yesterday. I don't want to revisit that, but I will give you a brief synopsis, right? It's just take the COD, like what Heba was saying. I agree with him. The only thing I will say, I think it's great for the brand if they do the 3 years, right? They need to refocus, man. They need to go discover what COD really is and what it means, especially now in the geopolitical climate that we live in now. Right? There are people out there that want to play a shooter that reflects what's going on in the world right now. And I'm not saying politics wise, like just downloading, you know, Orange Man bad or Trump is the best, right? What the president is the best. What I'm saying is, usually, or as they say, art imitates life, right? And so when you make something that people can identify with, it gives it a little bit of heft. It gives it some value, and it gives it a little base of reality. You don't have to go full you know, a CNN on the thing. But what you do, right, is you're giving people things that they want to see and experience in real time, if that makes sense. Yeah, but I'm glad you got that deal, Lotus. And again, like I said in my video yesterday, you can do Modern Warfare. I would make that the sim shooter. Okay, I would make that more of the serious. None of the rainbow stuff. None of the science fiction fantasy stuff. None of that. Right? You can touch on a little bit of things here and there, but I would make that the premier first person shooter warfighter type um, game, right? Like with the guns, the weaponry. The only thing you could touch on, maybe go a little bit off field, is with the future tech, right? Study that stuff, man. Send your team to study that stuff and produce that product, man. I'm telling you, man, it'll pay off in spades because people will play it. People are hungry for it, right? On the Black Ops side, dude, all the way that Black Ops is, Black Ops can be your Forza Horizon of COD. You can do all the weird stuff there. You can do all the weird zombie stuff on that level. You can do all the whatever like weird costumes you guys come with, you know, and skins. Some of them are creative. Most of them, I'll be honest with you guys, I'm a COD guy. I don't. There's not a lot of stuff when I turn on my box that I wanna buy from them. Right? And they need to address that, dude. It's not just about people being tired of the brand. You have to give people, again, like I said earlier, you have to give people something to spend their money on, like they want to buy it. Dude, there's a comic book convention or an anime convention going on right now, right? And it's jam packed, right? Because anime is huge. There's people standing in lines that run outside of the convention center where it is. It goes outside of the convention, all the way down the block, around the corner, and all the way down into Waikiki. That's how long the line is for people wanting to get into this thing, right? Because people are into anime. People want anime. So in fact, if you wanna hop on that train, right, put anime stuff in your Black Ops. The one thing I would like to see with Black Ops, since you guys do the supernatural and stuff like that, is start doing storylines on the UFO stuff and the giants and the other dimensions, right? Start doing that stuff. Make it relevant, is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, I know Hebot left. I'm gonna just bounce, guys, because it is 4:27. I got other stuff to do as well. Thanks to my brother Hebot for being here. Really appreciate it. Um, we're gonna do more of these, right? Especially with all the news that's coming out. And be wary, man, of who you guys are listening to online. A lot of these guys, they had bad takes prior to this, and they still have bad takes to this moment. I mean, really bad. Right? And that's why I'm worried. Like that's why I don't want Asha listening to these people, because they're just gonna 10 years from now we're just gonna be in the same spot. Right? Learn from our mistakes. Let's move forward. Let's get it done. All right. Okay, guys. Xbox Online. Oh, shout out to the chat. Daniel Berryman, thanks for being here, my brother. 2 minutes stop for drop. Thanks for stopping by. To everybody that supports the channel, I really appreciate it. Lotus, man, I'm not sure I've seen you before. If you were here before, I'm sorry, brother. But welcome. And yeah, Xbox for life. I love that. And yeah, dude, enjoy your Rogue Ally. Right? And there's the handheld market. It's unbelievable how well that Xbox did with theirs, the Asus, and with Rogue Ally. You know, like I told you guys, I can't really play it. I've been playing mobile games, but I got to play that a certain way, and that's just for my daughter, to be honest with you. But for me, it's always console 24/7. All right. So Xbox Online channel. Host take it forever. We out.